the foreign minister's comments.
That Belize is not at war with Guatemala, nor did we seek a casus belli. We went out there to make a political statement, which is this: Belize is for Belizeans. We have our territorial integrity and our sovereignty. We were not out there to provoke anyone. It is a complete outrage to hear from my government that the presence of Guatemalan armed forces in Belizean waters yesterday was a courtesy to me, to you, and to anyone else who was out there. That is absolutely outrageous and untrue. They were not there for courtesy. They were there to try and assert control over us, and questions can be put to the Coast Guard, to the BDF, to the Port Authority, and whoever else the Foreign Minister cares to question, but the fact remains that they were not there. We were there. The OAS can give their account, but every single member of the media who was out there and every member of the public who was out there has the same story to tell, that we were confronted and aggressed by Guatemalans, Guatemalan armed forces in our waters, questioned, held back, tried to corral us, tried to contain us, couldn't do it. As I will make in writing to my own government, my disappointment at the stance that the Foreign Minister has taken, and my demand that my government make a formal note of protest to Guatemala as to what occurred on Sunday. That is my right as a member of the National Assembly. It is my right as a member of the legislature, and the executive has absolutely no right to stop me.
Media from Guatemala recorded the entire confrontation between Belizeans and Guatemalan armed forces. Unlike the armed forces, they too were in Belizean waters. They, as expected, put their own spin on the situation, reporting that Belizeans were abusive and unmannerly. Reports from several Guatemalan media houses stated that Belizeans were trying to lodge a Belizean flag on Sarstún Island, which they reported belongs to Guatemala. Also, there were representatives from the Organization of American States, OAS. The National Security Council says, quote, "The presence of the OAS and the diplomatic safety net that the government of Belize had secured in collaboration with key allies as part of its contingency measures succeeded in averting many major fallouts from this no doubt inadvertent occurrence." End of quote. Now, those on the trip believe that the representatives of the OAS had the responsibility of intervening when the Guatemalan military attempted to stop Belizeans. Senator Lisa Shoman says that was not their job.
The OAS was out there as independent observers. They went to observe the process. Let me make it clear. Belize is a full member state of the OAS like Guatemala. These are people who have been engaged in our process for at least 12 years. They know what is at stake, and they came to observe and to be able to act as independent witnesses. The world can say that you and I were biased because we are Belizeans. The world cannot say that about the OAS. So I am glad they're out there. They were not out there to prevent. They were not out there to exchange. They were not out there to instruct the Guatemalans or even to tell us that we should not go. As you can see, at no point in time did the OAS even try to dissuade us from going.
As we mentioned, Guatemala media were present at Sarstún River, and yesterday one of the first news reports of that country on the expedition was published online. It came from Canal Antigua, and the reporter reported that Belizeans had entered into Guatemalan waters in order to position a flag on Sarstún Island. In his news report, the reporter featured comments from Vice Admiral Carlos Thomas of the Guatemalan National Navy Defense. In his statements, Thomas told Guatemalan reporters that Belizeans were the ones who had trespassed into Guatemalan waters and attempted to take a piece of land which belongs to Guatemala. Senator Lisa Shoman said that the government of Belize should immediately set a protest regarding his comments.
Which is utter rubbish. There was no way for us to go on Sarstoon Island because it is mangrove. That was actually never the intent in any case, because the organizers saw that it would have been an issue. What we did is exactly what we were meant to do, and this is why I say the words of Vice Admiral Carlos Thomas have been captured by Guatemalan media, and it is the duty of our government to demand an explanation from Guatemala, but more importantly, to immediately issue a note of protest saying that they, in fact, came into our waters and that they have explaining to do.